Are you looking for an easy and fun way to learn English? Welcome to our channel. We provide simple and clear English conversations to help you improve your English skills. Whether you are a beginner or want to get better at speaking, listening, reading, or writing, our channel is the perfect place for you.
Hello, English learners. Welcome back to English Pod. My name is Marco.
And I'm Erica.
We're bringing you an advanced lesson today.
That's right. An advanced lesson where we talk about investing in emerging markets.
Right. So it's kind of a business topic. It's kind of a world topic as well.
Yes.
And it's pretty difficult.
Yeah, it is really hard.
Right. So if you're listening and you don't understand everything, please don't get discouraged. Don't worry about it because we're here to learn.
Yes, and we're here to help you.
Right. Mm-hmm. So let's get started with this. I'm really excited about this lesson.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Marco, maybe you can tell us a little bit. What is an emerging market?
An emerging market is a market that is starting to develop.
Okay.
And it's growing rapidly.
So you can maybe give some examples of emerging market.
Well, for example, China is an emerging market.
Yeah.
In the last years, it's been growing rapidly.
More and more people are moving to the middle class and have money to spend.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. So China is like a really great example of an emerging market.
All right. Well, with that, let's listen to the dialogue for the first time.
Dad, I'd like to borrow some money.
Sure, Johnny. How much do you need? $5?
Come on, Dad. I need $30,000. I want to get into the market. You know, I'm tired of hearing all this news about the economic downturn, the inevitable recession, people stuffing their money in their mattresses. I look at this as an opportunity. This is a chance for me to get a jump start on building my nest egg.
I don't know about that. With all the uncertainty in the markets right now, it'd be a very unwise decision to invest. I don't know if you're aware, son, but there has been a lot of turmoil in the markets recently. There have already been 500,000 layoffs in the last few months, and we have no idea how the proposed stimulus package will impact upon the economy. There's just too much instability. I just wouldn't feel comfortable investing in this climate.
But look at it this way. Every challenge is an opportunity. And anyway, I'm not talking about investing in the domestic market. There are emerging markets that promise great returns. Look at China, for example. They have 1.4 billion people, 500 million of whom have recently entered the middle class. Here alone, the aggregate demand for consumer goods represents an amazing wealth-generating opportunity.
Oh, come on, son. You're looking at this too naively. The Chinese market has exhibited a great deal of instability, and their currency has been devalued by almost a whole percentage point.
Fine then. If that's the way you feel, so be it. But you're losing out on a great opportunity here. I'm gonna hit up Mom for the cash.
Well, it sounds like the dad has missed out on a really big investment opportunity, hey?
Yeah, his son is pretty smart.
Yeah.
Pretty smart little boy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we have some great words that we want to look at here. Mm-hmm. Why don't we start with the first one? Turmoil.
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 So we have some great examples of how turmoil is used in different sentences. So let's listen.
Example 1. With a civil war, a famine, and inflation, the country has been in turmoil for 10 years. Example 2.
There's been a lot of turmoil in my life recently. I've moved to a new city, I've changed my job, I broke up with my girlfriend.
Example 3. The devaluation of the dollar caused a great deal of turmoil in the markets.
So turmoil is a state of
uncertainty, of change, of difficult times.
A little bit of chaos. Also,
Yeah. So, for example, when there's a lot of turmoil in the market, that means stock prices are changing drastically from day to day.
Right. Or the economy is in turmoil. There's a lot of problems going on.
Yeah, uncertainty.
Uncertainty. Okay. Good word. All right. And we also saw something really interesting in the dialogue about a proposed stimulus package.
A proposed stimulus package.
So a proposed stimulus package is something that's going on now.
Yes, let's break this phrase down. So we've got stimulus package.
A stimulus package, something to stimulate the economy, right?
Right, so money from the government to get the economy moving.
To get it moving, stimulus package.
Proposed.
It means that it hasn't been approved yet.
Right, it's suggested.
It's suggested. It's an idea. So the proposed stimulus package for the U.S. economy, for example, is $150 billion.
Right, that's $150 billion of American taxpayers' money that the government wants to put into the economy to keep it moving.
To keep it moving, right. So if it works or not, that's still a debate, but it's a proposed stimulus package.
Let's move to our third phrase, aggregate demand.
Aggregate demand.
Aggregate demand.
Aggregate demand.
So demand is pretty clear, but this word aggregate, what's that about?
Aggregate is like a combined, added,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Aggregate demand. For example, in a country like China, where cities like in Shanghai or cities like Beijing, where more and more people are accumulating wealth, the aggregate demand is increasing.
Right. The combined demand for consumer goods is growing.
Right. More people have more money, so they're spending more.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, Marco, there's a ton of excellent language in this dialogue, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot of good stuff here.
Yeah, and we want to listen to the dialogue one more time. But before we do, we have 3 words for you that we want you to listen for.
Yeah, pay attention to these words. Nest egg.
Nest egg.
Inevitable.
Inevitable.
And hit up.
Hit up.
So from the context of the dialogue, try and see if you can figure out what they mean. But after listening to it, we'll come back and explain it anyways.
Dad, I'd like to borrow some money.
Sure, Johnny. How much do you need? $5?
Come on, Dad. I need 30,000. I want to get into the market. You know, I'm tired of hearing all this news about the economic downturn, the inevitable recession, people stuffing their money in their mattresses. I look at this as an opportunity. This is a chance for me to get a jump start on building my nest egg.
I don't know about that. With all the uncertainty in the markets right now, it'd be a very unwise decision to invest. I don't know if you're aware, son, but there has been a lot of turmoil in the markets recently. There have already been 500,000 layoffs in the last few months, and we have no idea how the proposed stimulus package will impact upon the economy. There's just too much instability. I just wouldn't feel comfortable investing in this climate.
But look at it this way. Every challenge is an opportunity. And anyway, I'm not talking about investing in the domestic market. There are emerging markets that promise great returns. Look at China, for example. They have 1.4 billion people, 500 million of whom have recently entered the middle class. Here alone, the aggregate demand for consumer goods represents an amazing wealth-generating opportunity.
Oh, come on, son. You're looking at this too naively. The Chinese market has exhibited a great deal of instability, and their currency has been devalued by almost a whole percentage point.
Fine then. If that's the way you feel, so be it. But you're losing out on a great opportunity here. I'm gonna hit up Mom for the cash.
So the kid wants to invest because he wants to set up his nest egg.
That's right. So basically he wants to get a bunch of cash together so that he can buy a house or get married or whatever. It's that money you need to start your life, right?
To start your life, your nest egg. It's kind of a weird way of referring to this money, right?
I guess it is kind of funny.
And also the little boy talked about an inevitable recession.
Yes, inevitable.
Inevitable.
Inevitable basically means unavoidable.
Right.
So this guy thinks that the recession is unavoidable.
It's gonna happen.
Yes, inevitable. You know, this word inevitable, if you apply the root word, you can get a noun, an adjective, or an adverb, right?
Right.
So we've got some examples where you can see this word in action.
Example 1.
Jason knew he was going to get laid off, but he was trying to delay the inevitable.
Example 2. As a new manager, it's inevitable that you're going to make mistakes. Example 3.
Inevitably, we all die at the end of our lives.
So as you can see, the noun and adjective form are the same.
Yes, inevitable.
Inevitable. When we use it as an adverb, though, we add the ly to it.
Inevitably.
Inevitably.
Yes.
So yeah, as you can see, we could use it in many different ways depending on what we want to say.
Right. Well, inevitably, we have to move on to our third word.
Hit up.
Hit up.
So he says he's going to hit up mom for the cash.
Ask his mom.
Yeah, hit up.
Yeah, this is kind of a slangy term, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more informal,
Yeah.
a lot more slangy. Yeah.
You wouldn't really use it with your boss, would you?
No, you're not going to go up to your boss and say, hey, I need to hit you up for some cash.
No. So, Marco, I think this word is only applying to money, right?
Well, you wouldn't go up to your boss and say, oh, I need to hit you up for some vacation time.
No, it's typically used like for money.
In this context.
Yeah.
Hit them up.
We've got some examples of the phrase hit up. Let's listen.
Example 1.
I'm going to hit up the boss for a raise.
Example 2. Are you trying to hit me up for money? Example 3.
I don't have any cash. Have you tried hitting up Sophie? She's rich.
Okay, so this is our first advanced lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. It is a lot more challenging, I think.
Yes.
Especially because it's set in a business context, so it makes it so we have a lot of specific words and a lot of technical vocabulary.
That's right. Marco, you're exactly right. And I think that our users are going to have a lot of questions about the language in this lesson. So I'd like to invite you guys to come onto our website at EnglishPod.com.
Exactly, where you can leave all your questions and comments and we'll be there to answer them. But
Yes.
until then, it's
Goodbye.
Bye. The English Pod audio review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word. Unavoidable. Inevitable. Money that is saved to pay for something in the future, usually a house or retirement. Nest egg. A state of confusion, disorder, disturbance. Turmoil. Amount of money the government uses to improve the economy. Stimulus package. State of not being stable, being likely to change. Nations undergoing quick industrialization. Emerging market. Combined. Reduced in value. Devalue. Ask for money. Hit up. Let's try that faster. Unavoidable. Inevitable. Ask for money. Hit up. Amount of money the government uses to improve the economy. Stimulus package. State of not being stable, being likely to change. Money that is saved to pay for something in the future, usually a house or retirement. Nest egg. A state of confusion, disorder, disturbance. Turmoil. State of not being stable, being likely to change. A state of confusion, disorder, disturbance. Turmoil. State of not being stable, being likely to change. A state of confusion, disorder, disturbance. Turmoil. Unavoidable. Inevitable. Reduced in value. Devalue. Nations undergoing quick industrialization. Emerging market. State of not being stable, being likely to change. Nations undergoing quick industrialization. Emerging market. Now say the word and hear it in a sentence. Inevitable. Jason knew he was going to get laid off, but he was trying to delay the inevitable. Nest egg. I invested in the stock market 5 years ago and built a nice nest egg. Turmoil. With a civil war, a famine, and inflation, the country has been in turmoil for 10 years. Emerging market. Demand for luxury goods is growing quickly in emerging markets like China. Devalue. The currency has been devalued by nearly 40%. Hit up. I'm going to hit up the boss for a raise. Inevitable. Jason knew he was going to get laid off, but he was trying to delay the inevitable. Emerging market. Demand for luxury goods is growing quickly in emerging markets like China. Devalue. The currency has been devalued by nearly 40%. Hit up. I'm going to hit up the boss for a raise. Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today's lesson is an advanced level lesson. That means we'll be speaking using our normal English tone of voice and using some very, very difficult vocabulary and phrases. So this is really good practice for all of you out there.
That's right. We're going to change a little bit the dynamic of how it works. We're not going to look specifically at language takeaway or fluency builder. We're going to talk about the topic. We are going to pick out a couple of different words and phrases that are used in the dialogue, but we're mainly going to just have a conversation, and you can just listen and study a little bit of what we're saying.
So what is the topic today, Marco?
Well, today we're going to talk about the environment, specifically about our carbon footprint.
Okay, that is the title of today's lesson. I encourage all of you to listen to the context of that phrase, and we'll be back in a moment to talk about what it and some of these other phrases mean.
So what's your guys' take on all this global warming hysteria in the media?
It's pretty serious, man. There have been tons of scientific studies, and the scientific community says that the Earth is heating up. We need to make some drastic changes to our lifestyle if we want to preserve our planet.
I don't know. It sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo if you ask me. The Earth will save itself. It survived worse disasters in the past. I mean, honestly, we live in the boonies. There's no way anyone here is ever going to walk or bike to work, especially in the winter. And we have no bus system. My house is 40 years old, and it would take a lot of money to get it refitted to be green and energy efficient.
Well, I don't really know if I believe in global warming either, or whether or not it was our doing or a natural change the Earth is going through. But you have to admit that we're living pretty irresponsibly here in the West.
I guess.
I think the issue at hand is sustainability. We've only got this one Earth we can live on, and our resources are quickly disappearing because of our own carelessness and our inability to think of anyone but ourselves and anything but the present.
So, like I was saying, we need to change the way we live. We need to reduce our carbon footprint.
But it doesn't have to be that drastic. Hybrid vehicles and solar panels are too expensive to be feasible right now. And we don't have to be hippies living off the land and buying everything organic either, though it helps.
I carpool to work every day with some buddies of mine. I have a rain barrel outside my house I use to water my plants and my lawn in the summer, and I make sure I always bring reusable bags with me when I get my groceries. And we just started using biodegradable plastic made from corn oil for takeout orders at my family's restaurant. Remember the 3 R's? Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Exactly. It's just small, simple changes, like buying energy-saving light bulbs, starting a compost bin, recycling bottles and papers, using reusable water bottles, stop using disposable cups and cutlery.
Like the ones we're drinking out of?
Yeah.
All right, we're back. So, as you probably guessed, carbon footprint, it's pretty easy. You're talking about a footprint is the evidence you leave if you're walking on sand, for example.
Exactly.
And if we talk about carbon, we're talking about the element, right? Carbon.
Yep. So carbon is something that is in everything, basically. It's organic, but it can also, in the case of a carbon footprint, mean the amount of maybe waste or damage that we do to the earth or to the environment.
Right. So, for example, you're driving your car. We all know that the gas that is emitted from the exhaust pipe is CO2, right?
Yeah.
And that contains carbon. So that's a way of seeing that you're leaving a footprint of carbon. You are damaging the atmosphere a little bit by driving your car.
So in talking about a carbon footprint, we talk about having a low carbon footprint, which is good, or a very high carbon footprint, which is bad.
Right. So there were a lot of interesting things coming up in the dialogue. One of the first things was...
Well, the first thing that they're talking about in this dialogue is they're having kind of an argument about whether or not global warming and global climate change really exists.
Yeah, this is a very interesting part because some people say, well, global warming is happening, global warming is real. And other people say, well, it's not real. It's not really a problem. This is just a phase that the Earth will go through and like everything, it'll disappear.
Well, I agree with people who say that the Earth goes through phases because sometimes there are centuries that are hotter and sometimes there are centuries that are colder. But I think it's undeniable that there has been a large and immediate global climate change in the last maybe 20 years.
Yeah, we're definitely speeding up maybe that cycle, right?
Exactly. And I think what's great evidence of this and terrible evidence of this is the 3 earthquakes, massive earthquakes that have happened in the last couple of months. And I think that earthquakes like last year and like this year are really, really important reminders that we do as humans influence the way that the world responds to us.
I think I always see it as the Earth kind of just shaking its back, kind of saying like, get off me. You know?
Stop it.
Stop it.
That itches.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's kind of the way I see earthquakes sometimes. But when they were talking about, well, is it real? Is it not? They use a really interesting phrase when it says, it sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo.
Mumbo jumbo.
Yeah.
So this is a way to say that it sounds like a bunch of garbage or it sounds like a bunch of gibberish. It sounds like a bunch of people are talking about something that doesn't really exist. So mumbo jumbo is basically something that's not really real or true.
I think, don't you also, can you use it as somebody that's saying something you don't really understand?
Right. So if maybe I'm talking to you about something that's very academic and very scholarly, you say, sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what the person said. The environmental problems are a bunch of mumbo jumbo. But it was really interesting because they were like, well, we have to save the Earth. And then there was actually a phrase here that was really kind of hard for me to understand when the person said, I mean, honestly, we live in the boonies.
Boonies.
So what does it mean by living in the boonies?
This is a very common word to hear in spoken English, especially with young people. Boonies means we live far away from civilization. We live far away from cities. We live far away from everything. So maybe these people live in the countryside or in a small village. And they don't feel like they're affected by what people in the big cities do. Okay.
So if you say, oh, I live in the boonies, you're just saying, I live really far.
Really far away. So this is a very common American word, I think. You can also say boondocks, which is like that movie Boondock Saints. But boondocks and boonies means very far away. So I could say, Marco, I'm not going to drive out to your house for a party. You live in the boonies.
Do you have any other ways that you can say that you live really far away?
You live in Egypt.
You live in Egypt.
Which for us in America is obviously very, very far away.
Sometimes we say...
Yonks.
The Yonks, exactly.
Yonks, people in New Zealand say that.
I've also heard people say, oh, you live where the wind turns around.
Really?
Haven't you heard that one? Yeah.
No, I like that
one. It's like, you live so far. Oh, God, you live where the wind turns around.
The end of the earth.
Exactly.
Wow.
So, well, there are a lot of different ways of saying that. So they were talking about different aspects of the environment, like we heard the word green or energy efficient.
Okay, so basically what they're doing is they're talking about some of the things they've heard in the media maybe or on TV about what people are supposed to be doing. You know, these are very abstract. That means these are very kind of big terms. Go green or be more energy efficient.
Yeah, I've heard this. Like, for example, when people say, oh, you have to be more green or go green, that means more friendly towards the ecosystem, right?
That's right. So this is a very general suggestion, and we can talk about specifics in a minute, but this is a very general suggestion for thinking about the environment and doing things to help it. And so go green or be green is a way to be more environmentally friendly. We also have using energy efficient computers or light bulbs or TVs.
Right.
And the third thing that they talk about, and this is something that comes up a lot, is sustainability. Okay?
Yeah, that's a big word that a lot of people like to use.
Yeah, it is.
In this type of topic, sustainability.
Right. So sustainability comes from the word to sustain. That means to hold out over time or to continue. So you think about something. Maybe sustainability is, I think, in many cases about doing or having habits, doing things that you can continue to do for a long time. For example, driving a big SUV to work every day is not keeping in mind sustainability because one day there will be no oil. So then what do we do?
Right.
So that's not a sustainable action. Sustainable actions mean that we have less impact, negative impact on the world.
Right. So basically what you're trying to do is to sustain, which means to hold, to withstand these habits, for example. So when you talk about a sustainable ecosystem, it means that it has everything it needs and it can continue to work for a very, very long time.
Right. So you can also talk about sustainable development, which we talk about in aid and giving aid to other countries. So sustainable development is trying to help other countries or other people in ways that they can continue to do for a long time.
It's also very popular with tourism. They talk about sustainable tourism.
Right. That means thinking about the environment and having tourism that can last forever, not tourism that will destroy the environment because it's very harmful.
It's a very interesting topic, and as you say, it's used in a wide range of cases. Sustainable development, sustainable projects, sustainable tourism. There are a lot of different ways that people use this, but it's basically the same thing, right? In essence, it refers to that.
Yes, keeping something going over time. But I think the big question here is, if you want to go green, if you want to be environmentally friendly, what do you do? Because it's not about big ideas. It's about specifics. It's about changing your everyday actions, right? And so these guys had a couple of ideas.
Yeah, they came up with something like, for example, hybrid vehicles, which is a big thing now. Basically, hybrid means two, right? It's a combination of two or more.
That's right. So, the Sphinx in Egypt, that's a hybrid.
Right, between a man and a lion.
Exactly.
Right. So a hybrid vehicle basically uses gasoline, but also electricity. So they're actually very efficient because...
And they're quiet.
They're quiet. And usually where you use up most of your gasoline is in traffic. Because your car is on, you're accelerating, you're braking, you're accelerating, you're braking. So in this case, I think hybrid vehicles run on the electric engine until they hit, I think it's 30 miles per hour, yeah. And once you surpass that, then it switches to the gas engine, which obviously if you have a constant high speed, it's more efficient, the combustion of the gasoline.
Exactly. So a good example of a hybrid vehicle is the Toyota Prius.
Right. I think it was like the first one commercially available.
But now they have all kinds, and they're actually trying to make entirely electric cars. So lots of things to watch out for there. But they also talked about something for the house, right? So if you want to not just have a nice car that is environmentally friendly, but also to do things with your house, what can you put on your roof?
I think we've seen a lot of these. These are called solar panels.
Okay, solar has to do with the sun. So solar power, solar panel, that means energy that comes from the sun. So the sun. And a panel is like a pad or like a some kind of device that can take the energy from the sun.
Yeah, it's really, really good. Basically, in some places you have anywhere between 8 to 12 hours of sunlight. So the whole day, these panels are absorbing energy. You can store them maybe in batteries and then just use them later. So basically, you don't really need to use electricity that comes from coal or from nuclear power plants because, you want to turn on a light, it doesn't really use up a lot of electricity.
And there's no waste.
It's all clean.
So my question for you, does Ecuador have a lot of solar panels everywhere? Because you guys have so much sunlight down there.
We don't really have a lot of them. It's not a big commercial thing yet, but there are a lot of projects going around to help implement these things a lot better. For example, taking these technologies to the countryside where people don't have access to electricity by means of cables, right? So they're implementing that there, getting them to use it, but it's still expensive. That's the problem with solar panels, is that, of course, it's an energy efficient way of going. It'll save you money in the long run, but
up front,
you got to spend a lot of money.
Well, and here's a good way to use sustaining. If someone in the countryside has solar panels in their house, it's a self-sustaining way to produce energy.
Exactly.
You don't have to depend on another place or a person.
Yeah. Actually, this is a very popular thing in many developed countries. I remember when I was living in Chile, big buildings were being marketed as energy efficient and green by showing that they can be self-sustaining. So basically, they would have solar panels on the roof. They would collect sunlight all day, and then they had big batteries that would store this energy, and then you can use it. They were more efficient into keeping heat or keeping the cold. And also what we saw in the vocab that they also had was rain barrels. So basically collecting water from the rain, and then they can use this water obviously through a filtering system in order to be able to drink it or to wash your clothes and stuff. But basically they would say that it could reduce your carbon footprint by more than 50%, and also the amount of money you would spend, because you wouldn't spend so much money on water, you wouldn't spend so much money on electricity or gas and things like this.
That's awesome. Well, one of the biggest concerns as far as environmentalism is water. Where water will come from in 50 years.
Yeah.
Because there is a limited amount of fresh water in the world.
Yes.
And if we can reuse rainwater and collect it, I think it's brilliant. So a barrel basically is like a big container. It's circular. It's like a circle, and it stands up on the ground or on a roof.
And it's brilliant because if you have a rain barrel that collects all this rain, and you have solar panels, basically, you don't need gas or electricity to take a warm shower. You just have the solar panels that can heat up the rain barrel water, and there you have a warm water. You have a warm shower.
Nice. You have sun-kissed warmth, and you have like fresh rainwater. And
but the whole water issue is a very popular topic. I recommend that any of our listeners read. There's a very interesting article that talks about, don't worry about petroleum running out in 50 years. We're probably going to run out of our water before that.
Yeah.
And they project droughts and huge famine in places like India, like in the Middle East, in even in places of China.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, not to scare anyone,
but yeah, it's interesting reading though. Yeah, it's really good.
Very serious stuff. Well, the last thing that I think we should talk about before we listen to today's audio file again is the compost bin. Now, this is maybe something that's hard to understand for someone who's never seen one before.
Yeah.
But basically, compost is, well, the verb is compost, to compost, but it's also a noun. But a lot of people, they don't want to throw away their food and their, organic material, things like flowers and food and biodegradable things. They actually reuse them. So basically, they have a space in the backyard of the house where they throw away all the old food.
Yeah.
Nothing plastic, nothing non-biodegradable. And that over time turns into fertilizer or mulch for their gardens.
Yeah.
So basically, you're putting it back into the earth.
Yeah. No, this is a very good option, and I remember seeing that even in Brazil, they have huge compost bins or compost places that they fill up with this garbage, and obviously things that decompose start to emit methane gas.
Yeah.
So they've found a way to harness this gas, transport it through tubes, and start using it. So actually having gas stoves with this methane gas.
That's brilliant. So you can get two uses,
Right.
fertilizer and methane gas.
Yeah,
Very
so
smart.
there are a lot of options there to go green, to do your part to help the earth.
Wow. So let's listen again to the dialogue that we had today. Hopefully we've cleared up some of the things that were confusing for you, and we'll be back in just a moment.
So what's your guys' take on all this global warming hysteria in the media?
It's pretty serious, man. There have been tons of scientific studies, and the scientific community says that the Earth is heating up. We need to make some drastic changes to our lifestyle if we want to preserve our planet.
I don't know. It sounds like a bunch of mumble jumble if you ask me. The Earth will save itself. It survived worse disasters in the past. I mean, honestly, we live in the boonies. There's no way anyone here is ever going to walk or bike to work, especially in the winter. And we have no bus system. My house is 40 years old, and it would take a lot of money to get it refitted to be green and energy efficient.
Well, I don't really know if I believe in global warming either, or whether or not it was our doing or a natural change the Earth is going through. But you have to admit that we're living pretty irresponsibly here in the West.
I guess.
I think the issue at hand is sustainability. We've only got this one Earth we can live on, and our resources are quickly disappearing because of our own carelessness and our inability to think of anyone but ourselves and anything but the present.
So, like I was saying, we need to change the way we live. We need to reduce our carbon footprint.
But it doesn't have to be that drastic. Hybrid vehicles and solar panels are too expensive to be feasible right now. And we don't have to be hippies living off the land and buying everything organic either, though it helps.
I carpool to work every day with some buddies of mine. I have a rain barrel outside my house I use to water my plants and my lawn in the summer, and I make sure I always bring reusable bags with me when I get my groceries. And we just started using biodegradable plastic made from corn oil for takeout orders at my family's restaurant. Remember the 3 R's? Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Exactly. It's just small, simple changes, like buying energy-saving light bulbs, starting a compost bin, recycling bottles and papers, using reusable water bottles, stop using disposable cups and cutlery.
Like the ones we're drinking out of?
Yeah.
All right, we're back. So it's a very interesting topic, very debatable. We have Earth Day coming up, I think. You have to turn off your lights for an hour.
That's right. Earth Hour, Earth Day. So remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, the 3 R's.
Yeah.
Think about the way that you use things and, try and reuse them if you can.
Yeah, it's a very good topic. We want to know what you think about it. And also, if you have any suggestions or any comments about future advanced lessons, why don't you tell us? Come to EnglishPod.com and we'll see everyone there.
Bye.
Bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Unintelligible or incomprehensible language. Mumbo jumbo. Gain heat or get hot. Heat up. Maintain in safety from injury, peril, or harm. Preserve. Rural, country, or jungle. Boonies. Keep in existence and maintain. Sustainability. Sudden and severe. Drastic. Capable of being done with means at hand. Feasible. Add new parts. Refit. Prepare and equip for additional use. Refit. Available source of wealth. Resource. Share the car with others to work. Carpool.
Let's try that faster.
Sudden and severe. Drastic. Capable of being done with means at hand. Feasible. Maintain in safety from injury, peril, or harm. Preserve. Prepare and equip for additional use. Refit. Unintelligible or incomprehensible language. Mumbo jumbo. Share the car with others to work. Carpool. Rural, country, or jungle. Boonies. Keep in existence and maintain. Sustainability. Available source of wealth. Resource. Gain heat or get hot. Heat up. Add new parts. Refit.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Mumbo jumbo. That's a load of mumbo jumbo. There is no such thing as aliens. Mumbo jumbo. That's a bunch of mumbo jumbo. You guys like each other and get along well together, so you should at least try one date. Mumbo jumbo. Some people say that what the Bible teaches is a bunch of mumbo jumbo, but I think there's some truth to it. Preserve. By living responsibly, we can preserve our planet for generations to come. Preserve. If you don't start preserving your relationship with your sister now, I'm afraid it will only get worse. Preserve. This historical building has been preserved since the 19th century. Refit. My sister had her living room refitted with a new entertainment system. Refit. The mountain climbers arrived at the base camp, got refitted, and set off again the next morning. Refit. For my birthday, my wife surprised me by refitting my car with a leather interior. Sustainability. Sustainability consists of living one's life in a way that sustains the earth. Sustainability. Sustainability is starting to catch on, and many companies are finding greener ways to make their products. Sustainability. This store is all about sustainability. They sell clothes made from organic materials, purses made from recycled aluminum and plastic, as well as notebooks made with recycled paper. Resource. We need to start finding alternative energy sources because our resources of carbon and oil are limited. Resource. The way we are living is rapidly depleting many of our natural resources. Resource. Solar electrical device connected solar cells and wind turbines are becoming more and more common because they are renewable resources in order to produce electricity.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and we're talking today about health and getting sick.
That's right. We are going to visit the doctor, so we're feeling a little bit ill. And, we're going to describe some of the symptoms that we have, and the doctor is going to recommend some medicine.
All right, so let's take a listen to today's dialogue, and we'll be back in a moment to talk about what's going on.
Good afternoon, Chloe. I'm Dr. Evans. What seems to be the problem?
Hi, Dr. Evans. Thanks for seeing me on such short notice. When I woke up this morning, I had a really sore throat and a really bad cough. I think I'm coming down with the flu.
Ah, I see. Yes, you do sound rather croaky. Well, let's have a look, shall we? Could you please open your mouth and say, ah? Good, yes. Your tonsils are a little swollen and red. How are your ears? Blocked at all?
A little, actually. My sinuses are a little blocked up as well. I really feel terrible.
Okay, Chloe, can you please breathe in and out slowly for me while I listen to your chest? Wow, you really are all bunged up. You don't sound too good at all. Okay, I'm going to set you up with a bunch of antibiotics. You will need to take these orange pills twice a day and these blue pills every evening. You will also have to take this cough medicine 3 times a day after meals. Finally, I am giving you an inhaler to use every time you feel breathless, just to clear up your lungs.
Whoa, so many drugs. Ugh, I hate swallowing pills. Am I able to go to work?
Absolutely not. You're highly contagious. You don't want to infect the rest of your coworkers, do you? I recommend staying in bed for at least 3 days and drinking plenty of fluids so you don't get weak and dehydrated. You can catch up on all the latest TV shows and movies.
Okay. Would you mind writing me a doctor's note for work? Otherwise, they may think I'm faking it.
Sure, no problem. Here you are. Now, off home and away to bed. If you have any questions, just give me a call. Feel better soon and take care.
Thanks, Doc. Bye.
Bye.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at 6 key words that we have prepared for you today on Language Takeaway.
Language takeaway.
So oftentimes in the wintertime, when the air is very, very dry and maybe you have a cold, you get this. This is the first thing we're talking about.
That's right. We have a sore throat.
Okay, so Chloe in the dialogue says, I woke up this morning and I had a really sore throat.
Right. So let's take a look at those 2 words. We know throat is the part of your neck, right?
Connects your head to your body.
That's right. And the word sore.
Sore means it hurts. So I could have a sore back or sore knees. Sore is basically an adjective that describes pain.
Pain. So you have an ache in your throat. All right. So that's a sore throat. And, well, she said that she has this sore throat, and the doctor says, I see. Yes, you do sound rather croaky.
Okay, croaky is a way to describe the way a person sounds, especially when they're talking, and maybe their voice, I think, is very deep or rough.
Right. So usually if you have a sore throat or a very bad cough, you sound a little bit croaky. So you're like, hey, my throat hurts a little bit.
Exactly. Not a very nice way to sound.
It comes from the way that frogs croak, right?
That's the sound that frogs make. They croak.
So yeah, sometimes when you do have a sore throat or a very bad cough, people say that you have a frog in your throat, right? All right, so that's the word croaky. Now, moving on, if you have a sore throat, it's usually because your tonsils are swollen.
Okay, so the first word here, tonsils, these are a body part. They're in your throat, the very back of your throat, and you usually have 2 of them. Some people don't have any, though.
Right, some people get them removed. They're like little balls in the back of your throat. And I don't really know what they do. I think they pick up some, I don't know what they do.
I don't think you need them, actually.
Really?
Because a lot of people have them taken out when they're young. But tonsils, when they are infected or when they are swollen, are very, very painful. You can have really bad sore throats.
Right, and usually they can cause fevers and stuff like that. So some people get them removed. And, well, as we said, your tonsils are swollen. So if they are swollen, that means they are big.
That's right. So swollen means they're bigger than normal. And you can say this about many different things. For example, maybe someone stepped on my toe and my toe really hurts and I look down and it's swollen. That means my toe got bigger.
Okay, so this is an adjective when something is swollen, but the verb form to say that something swells, right?
It gets bigger.
It gets bigger, to swell. Or the adjective, it is swollen. All right, and now she was talking a little bit about her sinuses, that her sinuses are a little blocked up.
So sinuses are in your face. You have them in your nose and under your eyes. And when they hurt, it's actually quite painful. And people say that sometimes their sinuses are aggravated or they have bad sinuses. This means they're having a hard time breathing or their face is sore, their eyes are sore. It's very common.
Okay, so that's sinuses. Isn't there actually a condition that if you have blocked sinuses all the time, they call it
sinusitis.
Sinusitis.
Yeah, so that's a problem that comes back again and again.
Okay. And the doctor also recommended her to rest because she is highly contagious.
Okay, so you want to stay away from people who are contagious. This means that what disease they have or what illness they have can affect other people.
Right.
So if I have the flu, Marco, and I come to work, it's pretty contagious. It's very likely that you will get the flu.
That's right. So a flu is very highly contagious, or many other things are highly contagious. For example, pink eye.
Yeah.
Is very contagious.
Very. But you know, cancer is not contagious.
That's
right. If you have
right.
cancer, I can't get it from touching you.
Right. Very good. So, contagious. All right, why don't we go back and listen to our dialogue again, and we'll be back in a little bit to talk about Fluency Builder.
Good afternoon, Chloe. I'm Dr. Evans. What seems to be the problem?
Hi, Dr. Evans. Thanks for seeing me on such short notice. When I woke up this morning, I had a really sore throat and a really bad cough. I think I'm coming down with the flu.
Ah, I see. Yes, you do sound rather croaky. Well, let's have a look, shall we? Could you please open your mouth and say, ah? Good, yes. Your tonsils are a little swollen and red. How are your ears? Blocked at all?
A little, actually. My sinuses are a little blocked up as well. I really feel terrible.
Okay, Chloe, can you please breathe in and out slowly for me while I listen to your chest? Wow, you really are all bunged up. You don't sound too good at all. Okay, I'm going to set you up with a bunch of antibiotics. You will need to take these orange pills twice a day and these blue pills every evening. You will also have to take this cough medicine 3 times a day after meals. Finally, I am giving you an inhaler to use every time you feel breathless, just to clear up your lungs.
Whoa, so many drugs. I hate swallowing pills. Am I able to go to work?
Absolutely not. You are highly contagious. You don't want to infect the rest of your coworkers, do you? I recommend staying in bed for at least 3 days and drinking plenty of fluids so you don't get weak and dehydrated. You can catch up on all the latest TV shows and movies.
Okay. Would you mind writing me a doctor's note for work? Otherwise, they may think I'm faking it.
Sure, no problem. Here you are. Now, off home and away to bed. If you have any questions, just give me a call. Feel better soon and take care.
Thanks, Doc. Bye.
Bye.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at 4 key phrases that we have prepared for you on Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
So Chloe goes in to see her doctor, Dr. Evans, and she says, "Thanks for seeing me on such short notice." What's short notice?
All right, so basically, Chloe made an appointment with the doctor very late or very suddenly, right? So that's a short notice.
Great. So, for example, it's Friday night and she needs to make an appointment for Saturday morning. That's pretty short notice. That's not calling the doctor in advance. You can say this also when you're talking to friends. I'm really sorry to cancel on such short notice, but I can't go to dinner tonight.
Right. So I think it's very interesting, the whole structure, as you see, on such short notice. So as you said, your example, I'm really sorry to cancel on such short notice.
On short notice. On such short notice.
That's right. All right, so moving on to our second phrase, Chloe was explaining that she doesn't feel very well, and she said, I think I'm coming down with the flu.
Okay, so let's look at this verbal phrase here, coming down with. Okay, so you can come down with many different illnesses, but the verb here means this is the beginning of my illness. So I'm starting to feel the effects, like you said, Marco. I'm feeling some symptoms.
So I'm starting to get sick, right?
I'm coming down with a fever.
Or I think I'm coming down with a cold.
Very common.
All right. And the doctor started to check Chloe, how she was breathing, and I think he listened to her lungs with his, what is it called? A stethoscope. Stethoscope. And he said, wow, you are really all bunged up.
All right, so here he's basically saying that she's very congested. That means that her breathing passageways, like in her nose and her throat and her chest, are very stuffy. There's things in them.
Right.
Usually mucus and
phlegm.
These are things that, you know what's in your nose when you have a cold and you have to
Yeah.
blow it out? That's phlegm and mucus.
Yeah, not a very pretty thing.
No, very disgusting, actually. So maybe we should move on to our next item.
All right, so she's all bunged up and clear up. And so he recommended a couple of different medicine, such as antibiotics, some pills, and he also gave her an inhaler to clear up her lungs.
Okay, so an inhaler is basically a device that you use to put steroids in your lungs that will help you breathe. So
Right.
some people, when they're running or they're walking, they're very short of breath and they can't breathe. Well, there's a problem with this, like asthma, and they need to breathe this little inhaler, and
Right.
it's like a little tube.
I think it's you inhale medicine from this little tube.
Yeah, so the medicine helps open up your passageways. It helps you breathe, and it's very important for some people. But in the case of an illness, like your lungs are very congested, this helps you breathe on the short term.
Right, so basically clear up is to allow air or the movement of something within your body usually, I think.
Right, but to clear up isn't necessarily about air. It's basically a way to say that it will make this problem go away. To clear something up is to make the problem go.
Right, so I guess if you get medicine from a doctor, he'll say, okay, this will help you clear up your throat.
Right, or if you have a problem with acne, maybe your doctor will give you some cream to help clear up your acne, make it go away.
Clear up your skin. Okay, so a lot of great examples there. Why don't we go back and listen to the dialogue one last time?
Good afternoon, Chloe. I'm Dr. Evans. What seems to be the problem?
Hi, Dr. Evans. Thanks for seeing me on such short notice. When I woke up this morning, I had a really sore throat and a really bad cough. I think I'm coming down with the flu.
Ah, I see. Yes, you do sound rather croaky. Well, let's have a look, shall we? Could you please open your mouth and say, ah? Good, yes. Your tonsils are a little swollen and red. How are your ears? Blocked at all?
A little, actually. My sinuses are a little blocked up as well. I really feel terrible.
Okay, Chloe, can you please breathe in and out slowly for me while I listen to your chest? Wow, you really are all bunged up. You don't sound too good at all. Okay, I'm going to set you up with a bunch of antibiotics. You will need to take these orange pills twice a day and these blue pills every evening. You will also have to take this cough medicine 3 times a day after meals. Finally, I am giving you an inhaler to use every time you feel breathless, just to clear up your lungs.
Whoa, so many drugs. I hate swallowing pills. Am I able to go to work?
Absolutely not. You're highly contagious. You don't want to infect the rest of your coworkers, do you? I recommend staying in bed for at least 3 days and drinking plenty of fluids so you don't get weak and dehydrated. You can catch up on all the latest TV shows and movies.
Okay. Would you mind writing me a doctor's note for work? Otherwise, they may think I'm faking it.
Sure, no problem. Here you are. Now, off home and away to bed. If you have any questions, just give me a call. Feel better soon and take care.
Thanks, Doc. Bye.
Bye.
All right, so talking about illnesses and being contagious, we mentioned this pink eye illness
That's right.
before. So this is the colloquial way of saying conjunctivitis, which is, I don't know if anyone has ever gotten it. Your eye gets very, very red for a prolonged period of time.
That's right, and it itches a lot.
It itches.
And so already your eye is very red or very pink, like the name says, but you really want to scratch it and itch it, and it's really hard not to.
Yeah, and I think you treat it by means of some eye drops.
Yeah, and you have to wait.
I actually had a very bad case of pink eye once that I couldn't just clear up with drops. But the doctor gave me some eye drops. They were so strong that I put them in my eye and I can taste them.
Oh,
I
wow.
could taste them, yeah. So
That's
apparently,
scary.
yeah, it's very strange. And it wouldn't clear up, so then I had to get some kind of like a clear gel put in my eye, and my eye patched up for like 2 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was running around with one eye. It was crazy.
Well, I've never had it, but I know that it's very, very contagious, like we were saying earlier. And so if a student at a school gets pink eye, all the parents get very nervous because it's very, very likely that he or she will give it to another person.
Yeah.
Because, kids, if you touch your eye and you touch someone else, all of a sudden they have this disease.
Exactly. So yeah, it's a very common thing, and I think especially with kids, they always get all these things: pink eye, measles. They get chicken pox, a lot of different diseases. We actually have a lesson on chicken pox. You guys should check that one out. But if you have any questions, any comments, or any other doubts, please come to EnglishPod.com, where we're there to answer them.
We'll see you there.
All
Bye.
right, bye. The English Pod audio review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Some parts are bigger than others due to a certain swollen, get sick, come down with, chemical substance that can kill a virus, antibiotics, having a sickness that other people can catch, contagious. Note from doctor explaining a patient's absence due to sickness. A doctor's note. Not having enough water in the body. Dehydrated. Unable to take enough air into your lungs. Breathless.
Let's try that faster.
Note from doctor explaining a patient's absence due to sickness. A doctor's note. Chemical substance that can kill a virus. Antibiotics. Not having enough water in the body. Dehydrated. Having a sickness that other people can catch. Contagious. Some parts are bigger than others due to a certain swollen. Get sick. Come down with. Unable to take enough air into your lungs. Breathless.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Come down with. I have a sore throat and my nose is starting to get stuffed up, so I think I might be coming down with a cold. Come down with. My sister came down with the flu yesterday. Come down with. I have so many things to do in the next few weeks. I hope I don't come down with anything. Swollen. Ever since I stubbed my toe a few days ago, it has been swollen to twice its normal size. Swollen. My mom told me to put ice on my swollen ankle until the swelling goes down. Swollen. His eyes stayed swollen for several days after the fight. Antibiotics. The doctor said I had an infection, so he gave me a couple of antibiotics that I need to take every day for the next week. Antibiotics. If you don't get that cut looked at soon, it could get infected and then you'll need antibiotics. Antibiotics. What I thought was a cough turned out to be a throat infection, so my doctor put me on antibiotics. Contagious. Don't worry, my illness is not contagious, it's genetic. Contagious. On average, someone with a flu virus is contagious for about a week. Contagious. You will have to wear a mask when you enter the hospital room because she is highly contagious. A doctor's note. Before you leave the doctor's office, make sure you get a doctor's note so I can record your absence as valid. A doctor's note. The only thing my professor would accept as a valid reason for asking to rewrite the exam was a doctor's note. A doctor's note. I passed the doctor's note to my boss and went immediately to work.
Hello, English learners, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
I'm Amira.
All right, Amira is here today, and she is going to tell us about the wonderful lesson she has prepared this time.
Well, thank you, Marco. Well, today we have a very interesting lesson prepared for you. It's about someone cutting in line.
Cutting in line, okay.
Yeah, it happens all the time and we all get very upset about it, but you know, it happens.
Right, right. Well, I imagine that everyone is wondering what cutting in line is. Why don't we just listen to the dialogue one time, and then when we come back, Amira and I will gladly explain all the vocabulary in this dialogue.
Let's listen.
I can't believe it took us 2 hours to get here. The traffic in New York is unbelievable.
Yeah, but just relax, honey. We're here and we're going on vacation. In a few hours, we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
Oh no, look at that line. It must be a mile long. There's no way I'm waiting for another 2 hours.
Honey, don't.
Hey, man, the end of the line is over there.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I was here first, and you can't cut in line like this.
Says who?
I do.
So sue me.
All right, that's it.
Whoa, I think there's punching.
Yeah, I guess this guy he's just a crazy, I don't know, impatient man, huh?
Yes, but we don't want to talk about this now. But for now, we will treat some of the vocabulary and very useful phrases in the dialogue.
Great.
So, Marco, do you want to start?
Yes, let's take a look at our first word would be unbelievable.
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 Exactly, and just how you say it, it's something incredible, something amazing.
Yeah, but I would like to point out that unbelievable was used here to describe the man's frustration. He's not happy about the traffic in New York.
Exactly, perfect. Okay, in the next part, the woman, she's trying to calm and relax her husband, and she says that they'll be in Hawaii in a few hours, and you'll be on the golf course.
Right, so we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
Yes, we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
So this is a great way of talking about your physical location in the future.
Right. So for example, Amira, tomorrow where will you be?
Don't worry, Marco. I'll be in the office tomorrow.
Perfect, right? That's where I need you to be.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, I have another interesting phrase here for you. Must be a mile long.
A mile long.
A mile long.
A mile long.
Now, that's basically not a mile. It's not a kilometer long, but it's another way of saying that this line is really, really long.
Right, it's just an exaggeration. Now let's take a look at there's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way.
Perfect. Let's listen to some other examples on how we use there's no way in a different situation, and then we can come back and talk about it a little bit more.
There's no way I can have those reports finished today.
The stadium is so crowded that there's no way we'll find a seat.
Do you think Michael's going to buy that house?
There's no way he has enough money to buy it.
All right, everyone. So there's no way is another way of saying it is impossible.
Exactly. There's no way you should miss this podcast, right?
Yes. Well, I have another phrase for you as well. Cut in line.
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 So again, we have some really good examples on how you could use this phrase in different situations. Let's listen to the examples and then we can come back and talk about it some more.
Excuse me, I'm really late. Can I cut in line, please?
I hate it when people cut in line at the bank. It's so rude.
I think it's okay when a pregnant woman cuts in line.
All right, everyone. Cut in line.
Right, so from the examples, we can understand that it means when you are standing in line somewhere and somebody gets in front of you.
Right. I have another phrase for you here. Sue me.
Sue me.
Sue me.
Sue me.
Okay, now sue me is not a nice phrase. If you hear that, you know you're in trouble.
Yeah, it's kind of rude, I guess, to say sue me.
Right. Well, it actually means like taking someone to court and asking for money because someone has harmed you in a way. I think that we should listen to the dialogue one more time and try to figure out why he used that phrase and if he's really going to take him to court.
I can't believe it took us 2 hours to get here. The traffic in New York is unbelievable.
Yeah, but just relax, honey. We're here and we're going on vacation. In a few hours, we'll be in Hawaii and you'll be on the golf course.
Oh no, look at that line. It must be a mile long. There's no way I'm waiting for another 2 hours.
Honey, don't.
Hey, man, the end of the line is over there.
Yeah.
No, seriously, I was here first, and you can't cut in line like this.
Says who?
I do.
So sue me.
All right, that's it.
All right, we're back. Now, this guy, when he says sue me, he's just being rude. I mean, he's just being kind of
impolite
and telling him, I don't care.
Right, exactly.
Like you can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Okay, today in the studio, we have a guest. Her name is Sarah, and she's from England.
Hi there.
Hello.
All right. So we're going to be asking her a couple of questions, and she'll be a frequent guest on our show, so you can expect to hear from her a lot.
Well, she didn't know that.
It's a surprise.
She knows now.
Well, Sarah, our topic today is about jumping the queue.
Okay, Amira, wait. What is this jump the queue?
It's the same as cut in line, but in British English.
Ah, okay.
Yes, queuing. It's very important in England. We're very proud of our queues. It's true.
So what would be the reaction of people if they cut in line?
I think we do take it very seriously. I'm laughing now, but it's quite serious. So you don't jump the queue. If people, jump in front of you, it's you get a little tuts and sort of, shouldn't be doing that. And we make it very obvious. And
so you say it out loud.
We would, perhaps say something. And we have systems, in London on the metro. On the underground, you have to stand on the escalators on the right and queue, and you can't jump in front. You have to walk on the left and queue on the right. And it's all very serious. There's rules and regulations.
Is there like a queue handbook that you have to read in high school and kind of take a test on?
Perhaps there should be. Yeah.
Wow.
What about New York, Marco?
Well, no, definitely. I guess this dialogue is similar to a reality of New York. If somebody gets in front of you or cuts the line, somebody's going to say something and probably end up in a fight if the guy is rude. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, why don't you tell us, is there a line or a queue for almost everything in England?
It seems like we do just like to form a queue. Yeah. So,
Can you think of like some other examples of where you would normally you wouldn't queue, but you do?
Oh, gosh. Things like in the supermarket when you're trying to find some vegetables or something, I'd never sort of reach round or anything. I'd just wait until that person had finished picking up their stuff and then go in. So just try and...
So if like 5 people want to buy oranges at the supermarket, then you have a little mini queue of 5 people
maybe a little bit.
waiting.
There's no sort of just shoving through it to the front. You just don't do that.
So you don't stick your hand out and grab like a tomato.
Well, if you do, again, you would make sure that person knows. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just in a hurry or whatever. But yeah, it's just letting someone go before you. It's a courtesy, I think.
Okay.
It's quite important to us.
All right.
Right.
Great stuff.
Thank you so much, Sarah.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, we'll have you back very soon. So, all right, we're out of time, but we'll be back tomorrow with another lesson. And be sure to visit our website. Don't forget that EnglishPod.com has many, many resources and also a community of users and teachers that can help you answer questions and interact with you.
Yes, and you should definitely leave your suggestions. But for now, I wish you all well and bye.
Bye.
Are you looking for an easy and fun way to learn English? Welcome to our channel. We provide simple and clear English conversations to help you improve your English skills. Whether you are a beginner or want to get better at speaking, listening, reading, or writing, our channel is the perfect place for you.
Are you looking for an easy and fun way to learn English? Welcome to our channel. We provide simple and clear English conversations to help you improve your English skills. Whether you are a beginner or want to get better at speaking, listening, reading, or writing, our channel is the perfect place for you. Our channel offers real-life English conversations on different topics, making it easy to understand and learn new words and phrases. By listening to our podcast, you will get better at pronouncing words correctly, understanding native speakers, and building confidence in speaking English. Each episode is designed to help you learn naturally without stress. By following our channel, you will notice a big improvement in your English skills. Our content is simple, clear, and useful for everyday conversations. Whether you're at home, walking, or relaxing, you can listen anytime and keep learning. The more you listen, the faster you will improve. Why should you subscribe? Because our channel helps you learn English in an easy and enjoyable way. You will hear different topics, practice new words, and understand English better. We make learning fun and stress-free, so you can feel confident using English in real life. Don't wait. Subscribe now and start your journey to better English. Turn on notifications so you never miss a new lesson. Like, comment, and share with others who want to learn English too. Let's learn together and make English easy and fun.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we've got an upper intermediate level lesson for you all about money.
That's right. We are trading money. We're actually negotiating in this very popular topic nowadays, the whole foreign exchange market.
Okay, so we're talking about currency, which is the money of different countries. For example, the currency of Ecuador is...
the US dollar. Yeah. Hard to believe, but true. I'll tell you all about it later.
Okay. Well, the currency of America is also the US dollar. So with that in mind, let's listen to today's dialogue.
Hey, John. I haven't seen you in ages. What's new? What have you been up to?
Pete, nice to see you. Well, on top of the norm, wife and kids and work, I've actually gotten into doing some trading.
Trading? You big guy? What are you trading?
Currencies.
Currencies? As in euros, dollars, pounds, and rupees?
It's called Forex, foreign exchange. The great thing about it is that I don't have to invest a huge amount. I put in a margin deposit and then I can buy and sell up to 100 times that much.
I don't understand. You're buying and selling money?
You got it. Just last night I made $150.
Last night?
Yeah, it's a 24-hour market. I'd bought some renminbi earlier at a low asking price, but last night it appreciated drastically. So I made a split-second decision and sold all of my RMB at an amazing bid. I've also done some trading with Swiss francs and Australian dollars and Hong Kong dollars. I've made some good profits, but I've also suffered some losses. It depends on a lot of factors, just like any other market. In total, I've made about $500 in the past few months.
You're kidding! I'm on. Where do I sign up? All right, we're back. So this guy is trading currencies, as we heard. And, well, we're going to talk about a lot of the specific vocab that he used about this topic. So why don't we take a look at some of those now in Language Takeaway.
Language Takeaway.
Well, the first thing I think we should talk about is one of the first things that he says, actually. Peter says, I haven't seen you in ages.
I haven't seen you in ages, right. So, obviously, he hasn't seen him in a long time, and that's what in ages means.
That's right. So, we haven't seen each other in ages.
Mm-hmm. So, what other ways can we use in ages, or the word ages?
Well, you could actually say, it's been ages.
So that means it's been a long time.
It's been a long time, or we haven't gone out for ages.
Okay, so then you can use it with for ages.
For ages, in ages. So the key word here is ages, which means a long time.
Long time. Okay. And, well, he hasn't seen him in ages, and the guy's like, well, you know what? I've actually gone into trading.
So that means he's started doing some trading.
Right. Now, trading is a very broad word because you can trade, as in this case, currencies, which is basically to buy and sell currencies.
But you could also trade stocks, right?
Mm-hmm. You can trade stocks, or even people that are involved in import-export. They are involved in trading.
Trading. So basically, trading is buying and selling something.
Right. So you're trading. You are exchanging a product for money, or money for a product.
But the difference is you're not actually making any products.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's called trading. You're not really manufacturing anything. You're just exchanging goods and services and money. All right. So that's for trading. Now, moving on, he was explaining how the foreign exchange market works. And he says, I don't have to invest a huge amount. I put in a margin deposit, and then I can buy and sell up to 100 times that much.
So, Marco, here's the question. What is a margin deposit? Because a deposit is basically money that you invest somewhere, or that you pay in.
Right. Well, basically, a margin deposit is like a percentage. So he basically puts in a percentage of what he intends to buy. So, for example, a margin deposit of $1,000 might be $1 or $10.
Okay, so maybe if it's $10, you're talking about a 1% margin.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So that's what he means by a margin deposit, and that's why he explains that you don't have to have a large amount of money in order to trade in the foreign exchange market. You just put in a margin deposit, and then you can work around that.
Well, it sounds pretty easy, but then he explains some more details about it, and it gets to be a little bit more complicated.
That's right. He explained about how he makes money and how he bought some Chinese renminbi, and then he sold it because it appreciated drastically.
So he bought it when it was cheap, and he sold it when it was expensive. So the price changed.
Right.
So this kind of price change, when something goes from cheap to expensive, it's called appreciating. Mm-hmm. Appreciation. So the verb is to appreciate.
It's very different from using it in the sense of you appreciate someone, right? Like, oh, I really appreciate you.
Yeah, no, it's very different. We could say this about most goods or investments. For example, my parents bought a house in 1970, and the value of the house has really appreciated over the last 40 years. So now the value is much, much greater.
And actually, just mentioning it while we're on the topic, to appreciate, as you say, is something becomes more expensive. The opposite, when something becomes cheaper or maybe the value goes down, is to depreciate.
Depreciate. So that D at the beginning means it's going down.
Right. Okay, and moving on to our last word for language takeaway. So when he was talking about selling the Chinese currency, he said that he sold it at an amazing bid.
Okay, let's talk about bid here. B-I-D, bid. What does this mean?
So to bid is to place an offer for something.
Okay, so for example, at an auction, when someone is selling many old objects or some art, I can bid $100.
Right.
And maybe someone doesn't accept my bid. But if they do accept my bid, then I pay for it.
Right. So basically, a bid is just another way of saying an offer. You're offering a certain amount of money for that product or that service. And you see it a lot, for example, on eBay, right?
That's right. So eBay is an auction website, basically. And someone who's selling someone can see many, many bids, and they select the best bid.
Exactly. So that's what a bid is. So that's all we have for language takeaway. Let's move on now to Fluency Builder.
Fluency Builder.
Marco, what have you been up to lately? I never see you.
All right. This is actually a very common sentence. What have you been up to? But most English learners don't really understand what it means.
Well, this is a really interesting point because I say this all the time. This is very native, very colloquial. What have you been up to?
It's almost the same as saying, what's up?
What's up? Or where have you been recently? What have you been doing recently?
Right.
How's your life?
Right. So this part, up to, what have you been up to? It doesn't really say much if you translate it literally. But basically it's, what have you been doing? What have you been spending your time on?
So to be up to means to do something, to do.
Right. And there are many other definitions of up to, but in this case, what have you been up to means that. What have you been doing?
So next time you see a friend you haven't seen in a week or two, you can say, what have you been up to?
All right. And John answers, well, you know, on top of the norm, wife, kids, and work. That phrase right there, on top of the norm.
Well, the norm here means the normal. That means basically normal life. I've been working, I've got my kids, my wife, on top of the norm. Just life is normal.
Right. So the norm are the wife, kids, and work. On top of that, I'm actually getting into trading, right? So the normal situation, the normal life is wife, kids, and work. And then he's saying, on top of that, I've actually been doing this.
Exactly.
Okay. And now moving on to when he's explaining, again, the market and the currencies, he talked about an asking price.
Okay, asking price. This is, remember we were talking about bids? We could say that someone has an asking price, which is the price they would like to receive for an object or a service that they are selling. And so, for example, I'm going to sell my desk. My asking price is $100, $100. Maybe you don't want to pay that much, but my asking price is the way that I'm going to start. That's how much I want for it.
Right. So that's your asking price. That's how much you ideally want to sell it for, but you can negotiate. You are willing to accept maybe a lower offer.
Exactly.
Okay. And what is our last phrase?
A split-second decision. This is really, really important. These words go together very often. Split second and decision.
Okay, so that basically means that you made a very quick decision.
That's right. Split second. Very fast. It's almost like it's less than a second. And so a split-second decision means a decision in no time. It's very, very quick.
So we can actually mix split second with other things, right? For example, so maybe you can say he reacted in a split second and avoided the crash.
Okay, so good for him. He reacted quickly enough to avoid the accident.
That's right. So split second, very fast, very quickly. A split second decision, a decision that was made very fast. Okay, so that's all we have for Fluency Builder. Why don't we go back, listen to this dialogue one more time, and we'll be back to talk a little bit more. Hey, John. I haven't seen you in ages. What's new? What have you been up to?
Pete, nice to see you. Well, on top of the norm, wife and kids and work, I've actually gotten into doing some trading.
Trading? You, big guy? What are you trading?
Currencies.
Currencies? As in euros, dollars, pounds, and rupees?
It's called Forex, foreign exchange. The great thing about it is that I don't have to invest a huge amount. I put in a margin deposit and then I can buy and sell up to 100 times that much.
I don't understand. You're buying and selling money?
You got it. Just last night I made $150.
Last night?
Yeah, it's a 24-hour market. I'd bought some renminbi earlier at a low asking price, but last night it appreciated drastically. So I made a split-second decision and sold all of my RMB at an amazing bid. I've also done some trading with Swiss francs and Australian dollars and Hong Kong dollars. I've made some good profits, but I've also suffered some losses. It depends on a lot of factors, just like any other market. In total, I've made about $500 in the past few months.
You're kidding! I'm on. Where do I sign up?
So, Marco, you have to explain this to me. We're talking about currency today. So every nation has a currency.
Mm-hmm.
For example, in the dialogue, we learned that India has rupees.
Pounds are in Britain.
Britain has pounds. And Australia has Australian dollars. America has American dollars. But you just said earlier that Ecuador has American dollars, too.
That's right. Actually, Ecuador went through a very difficult economic situation in late 1998, early 1999, where there was hyperinflation. So basically, there was an inflation that was very, very, very large.
So that means that the old currency lost its value very fast.
Exactly. So, for example, if the currency before in Ecuador used to be sucres. So if 10 sucres was $1, all of a sudden it was 50 sucres was $1.
Oh, wow.
So, and it got to the point where goods and services went from 3,000 to $1 to 25,000 to $1.
Oh, okay. So people have bags full of money and it's not really worth anything anymore.
Exactly. So what happened was the central bank couldn't absorb this currency depreciation. They couldn't really regulate prices. Obviously, salaries were about the same, so you have a lot less money comparatively. And so the government decided that there were two options. Either they would follow Argentina's example, what they did a couple of years before, and set a fixed rate. So in Argentina, it's 3 pesos to $1. Or we would just get rid of our currency and just use US dollars.
So that's what they did, right?
They use US dollars, and now if you ever travel to Ecuador, you will use US dollars. The same exact bills that you use in the US are the same exact bills in Ecuador.
So no need to exchange currency.
No need to exchange currency, and that's why I guess there are many factors that people say are a lot better. For example, trading has become a lot less complicated because now you're negotiating in US dollars as in everywhere else in the world. But then other things, as not having a national currency also affect. So there are a lot of things going on, but it's an interesting topic.
Very interesting. Well, so maybe for those of you who are listening, you could tell us about your country and your currency. What do you use? What do you spend money on? And do people buy and trade currencies where you're from?
Exactly. Or maybe you can even enlighten us with the exchange rate. Maybe usually it's a good question to ask, how much is a liter of milk? Or how much is a haircut?
Right, because these are things that everyone needs, so the price doesn't change that much.
Exactly. We're really curious to know how inexpensive or maybe very expensive your country is. So come to EnglishPod.com and we'll see everyone there.
Bye.
Bye-bye. The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Something is usual or expected. Norm. The money that a country uses. Currency. The sum of money required to reinstate. Margin deposit. Taking effect rapidly. Drastically. Very quickly. Just a second. Split second. An offer to pay a particular amount of money. Bid.
Let's try that faster.
The sum of money required to reinstate. Margin deposit. Something is usual or expected. Norm. Very quickly, just a second. Split second. An offer to pay a particular amount of money. Bid. Taking effect rapidly. Drastically. The money that a country uses. Currency.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Norm. What's the norm in this company concerning protocol? Norm. This is the norm, so you'd better get used to it. Norm. Delivery, McDonald's, and street vendors are the norms around here. Currency. Before I went to France, I had to change some of my Canadian currency into euros. Currency. What's the currency in this country? Currency. My country's currency is worth next to nothing in USD. Margin deposit. He decided to start with a margin deposit of GBP 100. Margin deposit. I can't believe that I can trade with USD 1 million deposit when I've only put in a margin deposit of USD 10,000. Margin deposit. One has to be careful with trading using a margin deposit because the risk of losing more money than one has are high. Split second. The gang members were closing in on me fast, so I made a split-second decision to run instead of fight. Split second. My heart pounded as I made a split-second decision and took hold of her hand. Split second. My split-second decision to try a trick on my bicycle in order to impress my friends didn't end well. Bid. The current bid ask for EUR USD is 1.3998-79. Bid. I bought euros at an ask of $1.4235 and sold British pounds at a bid of $1.5001. Bid. The bid for Japanese yen and the ask for Hong Kong dollars are really good right now if you trade in US currency.